European Union members have approved the 13th tranche of sanctions against Russia over its war in Ukraine. Nearly 200 additional entities and individuals are now banned from traveling to the EU.
Well, the package is expected to be formally adopted as Ukraine marks the second anniversary of Russia's invasion. Well, CNA's Lim Yoon-suk traveled to Ukraine recently, and she joins us now in the studio. Yoon-suk, welcome back to the show. 2 years of war have, of course, dramatically transformed the country of Ukraine. Can you tell us about life for civilians, in the country, 2 years after, before and after the invasion?
Well, during my last few days in the studio, I've been talking about how it is business as usual. And it really is, apart from the air sirens and the explosions that you can hear once in a while. But at the back of their minds, the Ukrainians, the war is always there. They tell me that they cannot forget the war. And apparently in the first few weeks, the first few months when this war first broke out, everybody was in shock. The whole country was in shock. It was chaos. They didn't know what they had to do. And so you had people just packing, taking what they could, fleeing the country. Some stayed. But now that it's been 2 years, they have managed to take this in. And a lot of the Ukrainians, and most Ukrainians that I've met, a lot of them have said that they just need to do what they can to help this war. And we know the soldiers, the business owners, but ordinary Ukrainians are also trying to do what they can to help and fight this war. And we're not just talking about just average Ukrainians, but we're also talking about Ukrainians who might need help themselves from other people. So let's see this story. The racks of this bakery in Kyiv are filled with loaves of freshly made bread. They're not for sale. The bread is delivered to areas bordering Russia, where fierce fighting is taking place.
We need to send everything that we can to the east, because there are lots of people who just can't or don't want to leave their homes. They need bread because there are no shops, no restaurants, and there's nothing.
About 1,000 loaves are made daily, 4 days a week, by these bakers who have mental disabilities. The inclusive bakery is run by donations from fellow Ukrainians who are fighting the war in their own way whenever they can.
All of us are tired. All of us have one desire to win, and all of us want to help as many as we can.
Kyiv is never far removed from war, even though it's hundreds of kilometers from the Russian border. Residents living in this apartment were woken up on January 2nd by sirens and explosions as Russia fired a barrage of missiles at the capital of Kyiv. Those who survived lost their homes. The piles of rubble are a stark reminder of how easily the war can take away everything they have. Not that 32-year-old Miroslava can forget. She's a volunteer with a charity called Her Kit. Her hometown Irpin was occupied when Russia advanced on Kyiv at the start of its offensive 2 years ago. The devastation strengthened her resolve to step up.
If we will just stay or sit and doing nothing, we will lose. We will lose our country, we will lose our people, we will lose the closest member of our family. For example, I have a husband and I have a brother who is on the war, and they are soldiers. So, for example, my husband is the head of platoon of intelligence, and it's very dangerous, and it's every second risk for his life. So how can I just sit and do nothing?
Her Kit supplies food, military equipment, and life-saving tools like generators through fundraisers. Founder Vlad Samoylenko started out helping residents in Irpin, where it ran its operations from, only moving to Kyiv when it became too dangerous.
If I will not help other Ukrainians, other defenders and soldiers, I understand that someone can dead, and unfortunately I have 14 guys who was killed Russian for these 2 years. We have just one way to live in our country: help our military forces or join military forces.
And that's the message that I heard from all the Ukrainians. At every Ukrainian I meet say they have to do something. And I think they were telling me that it's really a matter of being in the right place, the right time. Otherwise, your lives can just be shattered. Like that apartment where I went to, that was bombed in early January. And we went to visit it. And it was only about 20, 30 minutes away from where we were staying. And you went there and there were people, a few, just about 2, 3 people who were coming back to get back some of their belongings. It's not where they have these big trucks coming to take all their belongings out. They just come and they take one belonging at a time, going through all the rubbles and going through their lives. This one man that we met said that he had been living there all his life, and his wife was in the kitchen when suddenly this bomb exploded. Luckily, she survived, but that's how this war is impacting all the Ukrainians now, despite the fact that it's been 2 years already.
That's incredible. And, Yunsung, we just had a glimpse of some of the unsung heroes in this war, the ordinary people doing all they can to, raise funds and send supplies. How are they doing this? And what are some of the challenges that they had to encounter?
Oh, they have a very big challenge because all of this is done through their own pockets or donations. And it's donations from friends or anybody they know. They don't get any government help. And so, for example, that Good Bread, that company, they used to make cakes, but that became a luxury after this war broke out. And so they decided to go for bread. And those people working there are all volunteers with mental disabilities. And yet they volunteered to come forward, take courses on how to make bread, and that's what they were doing. And the owner was saying that what they do is they have this transported to areas near the border area, to the civilians living near the border areas. Right. But they need to transport this, so they need to go through the post office. The post office has agreed to do this for free, so there's no charge. So what they make the bread, give it to the post, take it to the post office, and that's delivered to the border areas. Then they have volunteers waiting over on that side to take the bread and give it to anybody who needs it.
Right, and obviously there's going to be more danger closer to the front line, although there is also danger where the bakery is because of the strikes that, we've seen as well.
Definitely.
Over the course of the 2 years.
Definitely, and I thought that a lot of the residents along the border areas would have moved out, but apparently they haven't. There's still people living there. There are no restaurants, nothing, no food, no grocery stores, no shops.
And they just hang on.
And they just hang on. They say that's their home. And they're helping also in their own ways by feeding the troops along the border too.
Right.
And so, you do get a sense, and they were telling me that they have become stronger because of the war. And the war has made them realize the significance and, how important this life is. And in fact, that lady, Miravala, that we saw at her kid, she just got married last year, 1 year ago, because she felt that she needed to get married because she realized how precious life was.
Right.
And her husband is now serving in the army.
Just incredible stories of courage, resilience, and incredible, reporting from you as well, Yunsung. Thanks very much for coming again on the show. We'll see you again very soon. It's our correspondent, Lim Yunsung. And we have more coverage on the Russia-Ukraine war on our website, CNA.Asia, and on our mobile app. Keep up with us here on CNA as we bring you special coverage of this conflict, which is set to enter its 3rd year.